Welcome to yet another edition of Indigenization Appreciation Hour. I told you we can do many more sessions provided you support us, which some of you have done generously. But I must request those who have indeed supported us to send us your addresses. You can send your address to editor@delhidefensereview.com. We need this. We obviously need your address for GST purposes. We do things by the book, and I hope you understand and send us what we need. Right. So, with that out of the way, let me get down to the questions. We have a question from Anubhav Srivastava saying, "Hi Saurav, hope you're well. It seems from recent reports that we might be going towards SSS defense rifles instead of Russian AK-203. Any comments or insight?" No insight as such, except that, I think SSS Defense and a few other private players, as well as AWEIL, that is from the DPSU created out of the erstwhile OFB, are quite capable of producing AK-203 series types of rifles or equivalents in India with their own, proprietary technology. So I think I've advocated this before. It would be best to have a sort of a competition between a select few private players and AWEIL for a platform of this nature. So if we do go with something from SSS or somebody else, I won't be that surprised. Okay, next question. We have a question from Rupa. Why stop Su-30 MKI upgrade, Russian collaboration, when you have indigenous capability to upgrade? So it's not going to stop. There is not going to be any omnibus upgrade program. But there are going to be incremental upgrades, and by the end of the decade, you will see that the incremental upgrades have basically amounted to an omnibus upgrade. That is what is going to happen. And it's going to be done, obviously, mostly with homegrown tech. You now have homegrown IRST technology. You have DCM-AWS. You have multi-band jammers also on the anvil. So you can easily upgrade the Su-30 MKI. Even without OEM support to a great degree. Okay, next question. Aditya Prakash. Egg on our faces on how P-75I has been handled with DCNS pulling out, a naval group that is. Any way out? Does this raise questions on viability adoption of AIP tech? Also, do we now skip SSKs and jump directly to SSNs? See, we have to give complete and utter priority to the SSN project. There's no question about it. I mean, as you can see, large surface warships or even not so large surface warships are vulnerable, especially if they are not that far away from the coastline. So the point is very simple. We have to invest in nuclear attack submarines. We have to invest in SSGNs, that is nuclear powered cruise missile carrying submarines. There is no doubt in my mind about this. As far as the domestic AI, PAFC-based AIP technology developed by DRDO's NMRL is concerned, it's quite stable and quite ready to be fitted onto a test bed, an actual submarine. I think what we need to do on the SSK side is now we need to go all in with an indigenous design, which was developed by NSTL, not so much DND, but NSTL and DLD can probably work out something. Okay, next question. Love Bansal asks, how do the three SAMs, Akash, Spider and MR SAM differ? Why do we need three different systems? And what is the status update on QR SAM? That is because you need three different systems because, air defense is not a simple matter. You cannot have one size fits all solution as far as air defenses are concerned. Ground-based air defenses will always have a layered element to it. And these three SAMs are meant to, obviously, see, one is Akash is basically it's not an MR SAM really, it can be called an E-SHORADS, an extended range, short range air defense system. It's meant for certain targets and for protecting certain kinds of assets and for deployment in certain areas. MR SAM is different, the role is different. The MR SAM is obviously a much longer range system and with a new indigenous seeker and also improvements on the propulsion side, it will become even a further longer range system. So the idea is to provide layers of air defenses so that you have, so that the enemy there is a probabilistic scenario where the enemy faces Basically, it is to present the enemy with a layered challenge and to ensure that there is the highest possibility of punishment to an ingressing system. And of course, what these systems will target also differ somewhat. Their roles also differ. The deployment scheme differs. QRSAM is Spider is basically an LLQRM, low-level quick reaction missile. It is basically to defend against the ones that have got through your layered defense, and to protect certain assets often on the move. QRSAM, obviously, it has the same role as something that protects your attacking forces, essentially your armored forces which are investing a country. That is what it is meant for. It is supposed, so it has, it can fire from a short haul, it can track and scan on the move by its radars, that is. So that is the role that QRSAM fills. So obviously you will have a range of air defense systems because their roles differ. You want to present the enemy with a layered challenge. You want to increase the probability of destruction of incoming enemy vectors, basically, or aircraft, obviously. Now, next question. Mick Gisal asked, anyway, the ongoing war has shown drones to be effective against tanks and gunboats. Why are we going slow on Atmanirbhar drones? Well, maybe we aren't going that slow anymore. I think you're going to see, I've said before that the Rustam 2, that is the Tapas BH201 program, is out of the stovepipe and into the light. So I think you're going to see forward movement there. I think you're going to see the archered UAV, or what basically is the Rustam 1, weaponized Rustam 1. I think you're going to see that ordered in maybe more, in a couple of hundreds. I think 100 units has already been talked about in the press, but I think the number will go up beyond that. So this is the year when it will change, right? But of course, for drones to be effective, the other elements also have to come together. Namely, micro munitions that are relatively long ranged, in the sense that you have something with a very small warhead and a motor, yet it manages to fly 8 kilometers. That is one revolutionary thing that has happened. Better electro-optical systems, SATCOM, basically traffic collision avoidance systems. A lot of elements have to come together, and they are, I think, coming together. And obviously, drones are part of a larger net, a larger combat net, a larger C4ISR net. So that cannot change. The Ukrainians have been getting tremendous intelligence inputs from the Americans, which, by the way, they didn't give us during the standoff. They gave us some inputs, but not as useful as they are pretending that they were. As they often pretend on in the public. In public, that is, not in the public, in public. Okay, Raghavas. Please explain about IAF SAM network and how effective it is. S400, Barak 8, Akash Spider, SAM network reminiscent of Soviet SAM nets. Hey, everybody is moving in this direction. It's not just the integrated air and missile defense sort of setup will always resemble Soviet SAM nets at the end of the day. So yeah, we are moving in that direction, but nothing surprising about it at all. Okay. Now, as we have sort of typed out here, again, this is a request to all who have connected via UPI to us who have contributed to us via UPI in the past. Please do send us your address for tax purposes. And this is a serious matter, so please do. Please send it to editor@delhidefensereview.com, which also we've put in the comment space. Okay, next question. There's a question from Brady Mercury. IAF has recently made it crystal clear that they need either 80 additional Rafales or 114 fighters through MRFA. Recently, Forex has taken a sharp dip. What decision do you think government is going to make? Well, I think the government will probably go ahead with the MRFA, as I've said again and again. But they'll try to bring down the cost, obviously, and they'll look at... But I don't think they're going to agree to direct imports. That's just not on the cards. If you're going to have these many aircraft, you need to at least license produce them. Otherwise, you're going to run into even more trouble. Okay, next question. It's Rocket Science is asking, where is the... Right. It's Rocket Science asks, sir, any idea what the new glide-fired missile of the Indian Navy is? Another question. What is the status of the 125kN engine? There were reports of it being finalized by the end of this month. 125kN engine will happen, as I've said many a time on this channel. and that is nothing new. As far as glide fire, I think the name itself gives it away, isn't it? It's probably an analog to the YJ21 that was tested recently. I think it is analogous. Anyway, next question by Alex Delage. What's with the former OFB companies turning in a profit? Accounting gymnastics or something transformative has happened here? If yes, when can we see the Dhanush in numbers? Why did we order 72K6? Obviously, there is an element of accounting gymnastics. Earlier, this was just one department. So, you'll find that not all of them, one has not made a profit, especially the one which feeds to the others. Because the others, not the others can charge that company. Okay. Yes, there have been a few improvements, but it's not what it is being made out to be. Let a bit more time go by and the picture will become clearer. Okay, next question. Prashant Singh Sisodia. At Brady Mercury, Forex has gone down as RBI is using it. All right. These are Econ Salon issues. I won't discuss them here. Aditya Prakash. What do you see as the future of Avros, JAGs? Also, why have things gone quiet on HCD40 and IJD36? Aren't these now proven no-brainer acquisitions? They are going to be acquired. As far as the HCD40 and the IJD36s, they will be acquired. As far as JAGs are concerned, I think it was out in the public domain at some point that the last JAGs might be in service till as late as 2038. Not surprising at all, since around 61 of those are being upgraded with an ASA radar. The first, actually, even before the Rafale, sort of the first plane in IF service to get an ASA, the ELM 2052 supplied by the Israelis, was the JAG. So it's going to be there. We want to see, I think 3 squadrons of JAGs will be there into the late 2030s. That's my view. Avros, there's no future. They'll just be retired, maybe mothballed. They'll be replaced by the C295, obviously. Raj Holkar. Does India have a 1000 megawatt plus reactor design in the works? It has a 900 megawatt pressurized water reactor design, whose design is, I think, complete now. And in the future, there will be a 1000 megawatt metallic fuel breeder reactor. The current fuel that you're using, you use carbide fuel in the FTBR and all. Now you'll move to mixed oxide fuels, and then you'll move to pure metallic fuels, right? Just uranium, just plutonium, essentially, isotopic forms. So you'll have that. So there are 2 systems basically, which can be called large reactors. Anything that is 700 megawatt and above is considered a large reactor by the IAEA. So there's one IPWR, Indigenous Pressurized Water Reactor, and there's one metallic fast breeder reactor, MFBR. Okay, we have another stuff. Okay, Prashant Sisodia has a question this time. ATAGS has completed its trials. What can we expect from MOD regarding its procurement plan? The same. There were 150 cleared by the DAC. I think they'll go back and they'll just get that renewed, and an order for 150 units will be placed. Dhruv Raman Singh. Can you do a comprehensive overview of best small arms platform for IA, including choice of caliber out of SIGs, AK-203, SSS defense rifles and OFB? Bottom line, as I mentioned in the beginning of the program, if the idea is that we need something which is rugged, durable, and the ammunition is not that heavy, because 7.62 into 51 millimeter ammunition is heavy. That's the other problem with the 6 sword. Okay. And that is exactly why we left that caliber, and the West left it also. One of the main reasons, because there was a DARPA project which studied the Vietnam War and found that much more than the rifle, it was the number of rounds you put downrange that basically is the greatest determinant in outcomes, basically in outcomes during a firefight. The number of rounds you put downrange matter more than the accuracy of the rifle and many other things. So mull on that. As I said earlier, there should be a SSS plus maybe Adani PLR and OFB competition, or former OFB, all of them in the mix. Put all of them in the mix and have a competition for a AK-203 style platform, and make it and have an indigenous system for a change. It's really a shame that the largest army in the world is going to fight with somebody else's rifle design. I don't think it's such a great idea. I think the army should get its act together and it should pursue a domestic solution. Okay, next question. I think I've answered one by Dhruv Raman Singh earlier, or if I haven't, then I might as well. Okay. No, I did answer your question just now. So, okay, Shayan Roy asks, are the dimensions of the Illusion 76 enough to fit K9 Vajra? Yes, they are. Or maybe, well, yeah, maybe they are. And will the upgraded Illusion 76 MD, if chosen, be able to transport it to Ladakh? Upgraded will be able to transport it, yeah. Illusion 76 has transported T-72s in the past to Ladakh sector. Okay, Vedang asks, hi sir, will Astra Mark III SFDR make it to trials by the end of 2022? Let's hope so. Arnav Mitra asks, hi Saurav, are we developing dual-use platforms like AT-ADS Mark III missile, which can be anti-drone helo plus anti-armor, or the Russian 57mm gun, which can be used against ground targets plus anti-air rolls? 57mm gun is nothing new. Your ZU-23-2 is also used against ground targets. So, you know, any kind of any armament that goes on to a SPAG, a self-propelled anti-aircraft gun, or any anti-aircraft gun, AD gun, will always have a secondary role against ground targets. That's nothing new. As far as these kind of triple threat kind of missiles that you have, and anti-drone, anti-helo, anti-armor, they haven't yet proven their viability. Because you need different kind of seekers. Maybe you need a different kind of data link also for depending on the role. So there are issues. Okay, Ansing asks, integrated electric propulsion is being funded under Make 1. Then why this MOU with GE? Well, you want to. In fact, the two are not at odds with each other at all. It's only when you have a proper domestic program that GE will be in any way interested in collaborating with you. So that's your answer. Foxfin asks, Super Hornets chances increasing for Navy? Parth asks, what's the reason of hostile behavior of USA deep state towards India? Recent hit job by who against India? Well, you seem to have answered your own question. It's very simple, okay? If some people are used to being on top of the world, usually you have to have a deep sense of dharma within you to understand when the time has come to pass on the baton to someone else. And that's not how the West thinks. So perhaps your answer lies somewhere over there. Okay, next question. COP. Super Sukhoi seems off. MRFA to be fast-tracked? Let's see. It has to. The Air Force definitely wants it. Swarup the best. Indian Navy has promoted Indigenous in a big way. Then why are they not supporting Project 76 in a big way? Well, let's not rush to judgment over here. They are supportive of indigenization, and they will continue to be, I think. Vedang, hi. Yeah, hi to you as well. Now that the Sikh contract has been cancelled, which Indian rifle do you think has the best chance of replacing it? I've answered this question. Let there be a competition. Shivam Dubey. What is the role artificial intelligence will play in missile systems? Oh, many kinds of roles. Making the seekers better, making the data link better because of, making the data link more secure. As far as radar technology is concerned, there are any number of applications, so on and so forth. Parth is asking a question which I will not answer here. This is all econ salon stuff. Okay. Next question. We have more questions coming in. You have a question here. Swarup the best asks. Oh, now I've answered this question. Ankit Kumar asks, do share your thoughts on CDS appointment and creation of theatres? I've answered this question before. We do need a CDS, but not as a 5-star rank general or anything. Nothing of that sort. I'm not at all supportive of that. The current order of precedence is what we have enshrined in the Constitution, and it must be maintained. So that's that. Secondly, creation of theatres. The theaterization will happen, but of course we have to be clear about what we are trying to do. So this is something that I need to write about. It'll be too time consuming if I start talking about it here. Okay, Aman asks, CDS appointment is pending since this is the same question, 6 months. What's taking so long to appoint CDS? Finding a yes man. Okay. M. Anirudh, Hello, Saurav Jha, Dada. Hello to you as well. Hope your health is doing fine. I think I'm all right now. Updates on DARE, HBJ pod, and any further updates on indigenous CRAM. Doesn't the LCH need FCR during battle, sir? No, not necessarily. Not necessarily. Some LCHs can be armed with a fire control radar, millimeter wave band operating. That can be done, no big deal anymore for India. But not necessarily. Not necessarily. Okay. And as far as the DARE HBJ bond is concerned, let's not comment on this. It's progressing, I'm sure. And indigenous CRAM, well, there are CIWS systems under development, and they are basically going to be CRAM systems if you look at their radar. So you'll see the Sudarshan sooner than later. Okay, Abhi. Dada. Triple S Defense has shown a new etc. Do you think I've answered this question? So let me go to the next one. Okay. Monojit Patorias. Is F-35B a good solution for Indian Navy? No. Why does the USA not allow the F-35B to the Navy, considering Navy doesn't use S-400? So what? When you're talking about integration, it's not just about the S-400. They generally don't trust India enough to offer the F-35. Otherwise, they wouldn't have offered the F-21, which is just a rebadged F-16. Swaroop the best. Have you got the feeling in recent Raisina dialogue that it was all about Ukraine and climate change or topics concerning us? Afghanistan was discussed at the sideline. Did you get that feeling? That is the question you need to ask. And others, obviously. Avinash Yelamarti. What is the status of the KA-28 upgrade? Is there any Indian content being included in the upgrade? Some maybe. But let's see how it goes. Shubhadaya. Hello, Lava. Hello to you as well. A few days back, Boeing CEO had met PM Modi. Can we expect Boeing civil aircraft manufacturing in India? Talked about it for decades. Airbus. You probably will see Airbus coming in before Boeing. Or there is some major defense in pipeline with them. I don't think anything is in the pipeline. I think Boeing is proposing a lot of things. Let's see what happens. You see, they were supposed to get an order for 6 more P-8Is. Even that hasn't come through yet. So I think that is what the meeting was really about. Because the other things like KC-46 or E-7 Wedgetail, I don't think those have much of a chance at all. E-7 Wedgetail has no chance. Okay, Foxfin. Are we working on nuclear propulsion for ACs? Yeah, I mean, the concerned people are working in the ATVP office and DAE and all those places. Right. Prashant Singh Sisodias, what is the name of your other channel? It's just Saurav Jha. I've posted it several times. Check my Twitter feed or even check this channel. Check the page of this channel and you will find a link to that channel. Okay, Kartik. Hi Saurav. It's actually SAURAV Saurav, not Saurav. That means fragrance. My name actually means belonging to the brave. There's a difference. Okay. What sort of anti-drone systems are we having? Any private entities helping out on this? Yes. Well, BEL is there obviously, and you've already seen one DEW-based drone system, DA and electronic warfare-based drone system. It's already into production and it's being deployed as well. So we are going to see quite a few, not just one. We are even going to see handheld systems from private players in India. Okay, Shondip Bhattacharya asks, hi Saurav, how do you see the agreement for jet engine shaping up? I said, I've commented on this several times. There'll be a special purpose vehicle, a special purpose vehicle is being set up for this purpose. It is going to have DRDO and, HAL and in the Indian private sector as have these entities on its board along with a foreign collaborator. Okay, next question. Recently, MOD is instructed to close negotiations in a month. Is there any relationship between Indian 125kN engine and FCAS engine? No. These are different propositions, but obviously, whatever you gain through one will feed the other. Plasmodium, I'm assuming that some preliminary work happens with the British for the FCAS engine. Or, I mean the Tempest engine, not the FCAS, Tempest engine. Okay. Plasmodium Vivax. Why government of India not dredging Brahmaputra riverbed? It looks so dry from satellite pics. This is a separate matter and Maybe I am not the best person to comment on this. I'm not a river specialist or a geologist or even a hydrologist, obviously. Harsha, what's with the recent news of delayed upgrade of MKI because of Rus-Ukraine war? No, nothing. I've answered this question. The incremental upgrades will continue. And by the end of this decade, you will see that the incremental upgrades have amounted to a comprehensive upgrade. Next question. Anime Cat. Now that the government has made it mandatory for Indigenous to be first considered, do you think there's a chance Triple Defense will be able to get orders? I don't want to comment on the prospects of any one company in particular, but like I have already commented a few times today, I'm sure their stuff will be in contention. Okay, Ondo Mitra. But I've answered a question by you, so I'll circle back to this. Abhishek Joshi. Can we become self-sufficient in palm oil production in the near future? If we try, but it'll come at a cost, and it's not environmentally very, I won't say sustainable, but it's not environmentally very sound. See, ideally, it's best if you can, soak in resources from elsewhere, preserve your own resources and manufacture. But given the nature of the world today, it might be necessary for actually to start sort of indigenizing the production of various critical inputs, edible oils, which is important for the consumer. But these are econ salon matters. I won't go too much into this. Okay, next question. We have a question here from MG. Any idea when we will be starting construction of Jetapur nuclear project in this decade? That's all you can get. Looks like Modi discussed this recently during his France visit. He probably did, because it did show up in the joint statement, didn't it? Okay, I've answered questions by you guys, so I'll come back to you later. Sanket Saha asks, why is the IF making AVAX and refueler program complex? Is it really? Is it? I think what they're doing is not a high-risk proposition. I think it's the right path to go down. Next question. Surya Navankar. When will we have an indigenous EUV lithographic machine? Let's see. A lot of work. These are very specialized things. And this is one weakness we have, apart from the fact that lots of parts and components are from China. Machine tools. Machines that make other machines. We've tried. We did HMT. HMT was doing well. But then in the 80s, GE came in, offered things, and we chose to go with GE instead. This sort of thing happens too often in this country. Anyway, let's go with the next question. Neeraj Mathuras. Hi Saurav, your views on Indian forces stand-off weapon capability? Improved considerably actually. Any system we have now or developing that can act as defense against stand-off weapons? Yeah. So, all the air defense systems that I talked about earlier, they are also designed to engage stand-off weapons, glide bombs, cruise missiles, air-to-ground missiles with some cruise capability, so on and so forth. Fusion Fame. Scrap 114 deal, scrap TED-BF, totally focus on 125 kN engine for AMCA. Make 500 AMCA will never happen. For both Navy and Air Force to match the using commonality, no. It's just too expensive. 500 AMCA will not happen. Scrap 140, well, indigenization, appreciation wants indigenization, obviously. TED-BF will not be scrapped. That's something the Navy will back and should back. Okay. Let me try and see if there are new questions. True Patriot says hi. Okay, hi to you as well. Harsha says, any thoughts about new Gladfire Navy missile? I've answered this question. I think it's a YJ-21 equivalent. Saptarshi DG, with 155mm towed howitzer to be banned under recent negative import list from 2025, is there any chance of a backdoor entry for autos? No. I think that door has been shut thanks to the efforts of, well, all of us. Anyway, next question. Saptarshi DG, with 155mm towed howitzer, no, I've answered this question. Let's see some more questions right here. You guys are a little muted on the contribution side today. I couldn't help noticing. Is IH not providing any value for you anymore? Anyway, let's go to this. Next questions. Okay. Sparsh Kumar asks, how to become a defense dalal? I have answered this before. I do not know. That is one question I shall never be able to answer. Okay. Next question. Foxfin. Is it true that China has better last mile connectivity in border areas? Obviously. Is there any doubt? that this needs to change as soon as possible. We need to match them really. Okay. Aditya KM. Is Make 2 really the best path to follow for Glide SSM? Good question. We are already developing HGVs under Make 1. Besides, the use of lightweight, cost-effective, modular doesn't seem to get along well with the HGV. Yeah, well, there are issues and there are issues. I think I'll have to write something on, I'll write it on DDR, long article on this whole hypersonics business. From the economic side of it and also from both sides. From the offense side of it and from the defense side of it. Okay, Gaurav Rawat. Government should allot a $20 billion special fund to DRDO for next generation ballistic and cruise missile and missiles for next generation integrated air defense system. At the end, missile decides war. Well, not entirely, but yeah, they are. If you don't have them, then yeah, the war will be decided for you. Okay. Abhishek Joshi, I sort of really like your content. My questions are: 1. Why go for 114 Rafales when Tejas Mark II will be ready soon? Yeah, well, the roles will be slightly different, and Tejas Mark II will actually not enter production before 2028. I think in the case of whatever Rafales or nothing, most likely Rafales only, in my view, not the view of the government or anything else, is that they think they'll get it quicker. They'll get into some arrangements and stuff. They think they'll get it quicker. Okay. When will we make a heavyweight military transport plane? Maybe not a heavy transport aircraft yet, but I think you'll see something like the KC-390, a program for something like the KC-390 kickoff in this decade. Rishabh Kumar. Do you believe Indian private companies would be able to get their hands on semiconductor chip manufacturing tech of a certain grade, obviously? Or will it just be assembly? No, it won't be assembly. They'll get it, but they'll get it for old tech. We'll be lucky if we get it for 14 nanometer. Let me put it that way. Because right now there's an embargo on us, as I've said before also, for anything below 22. Timeline is they'll have to set it up within the next 3 years. Absolutely. There can be no A on it. There's no point in talking about Make in India if you can't get this DLI semiconductor plan off the ground. Okay, Mr. Death. Recently, some army general asked the venture capitalists to invest in our defense industry. Is that deliberate or really shameless? Okay, next question. All things Navy, 0.23. Okay. AB. What is the difference between an electrical drive and hydraulic drive? Why didn't Indian Army want a hydraulic one in ATAGs? Electric has nothing. Electromechanical actuation. And hydraulics is, hydraulic drive is basically you use hydraulics to do the work of, positioning your gun instead of an electromechanical motor system. For instance, Pinaka has an electromechanical system. You will find that its actuation and its servo system, it's all electromechanically operated, not hydraulically. Hydraulic systems are the ones you have on Smirch and BM, basically the old Grad. So those BM-22, those are all hydraulic systems for the rocket launcher itself. You'll find somebody's manually moving them around. Some of it can move, pivot. That's the thing. Okay. Next question. And basically, the difference is that, see, electromechanical systems sometimes there is this perception that they are not as, I won't say robust, but as hardy as our old-fashioned hydraulic system. That's what people think, but a hydraulic system is also more heavy, as you can imagine. Right, so next question. Saptarshi DG, is there any update on our remaining Mi-26 helicopters? No, we have 3 of them actually, and they are being upgraded, the last I had heard. Okay, Swarup the best. I'll come back to you because I've answered one of your questions. Aman Chauhan asks, hi sir, do you think India needs more private players since government-owned entities are slow and delay on every project they get? They don't delay and they're not always slow. It depends on what mandate you give to them. But obviously we need more private players. I've been the biggest advocate of the development of the domestic private industry as far as the defense sector is concerned. In fact, as far as many other sectors are concerned also. Of course, the Indian private sector needs to play a much bigger role and should be brought in to play a much bigger role with policy clarity and firm orders. See, defense orders in any case are lumpy. You order now, then you order something after 3 years, then you order again, then you order an upgrade contract. You need to change the way. In fact, I would say this. What our country requires is defense economists. Even if 2 or 3 of you are even remotely interested in this matter, you can write to me on any of my email IDs. And, I would be happy to start mentoring a few of you because I'm going to work on this matter. These are very important things and these questions can only be answered if we create a proper policy. I mean, not answered. I mean, these questions can be answered. They'll be answered through investigation, obviously, academic investigation. But we have to set proper policy that sort of takes care of the private sector's concerns, and we have to do it quickly. But already a lot of forward movement has happened. It's not like it's not happened, especially in the last few years. Okay, Desi fact. Sir, is India reverse engineering AL31 engine? India hasn't reverse engineered it. It's actually improved the AL31 FP at Koraput. I mean, the engines we got from Russia were worse than what we have now. The ones which are actually built at HAL Koraput are better. Katora Khan asks. So the issue that is coming in SIG rifle is coming. Is it because of the poor quality of OFB bullet? No. It's only the SIG has more issues than just the bullet. The main reason why you're seeing this is because you're using an LMG round. You're trying to cycle an LMG round through the SIG. You see, small arms makers make money with basically proprietary ammunition. They either make the ammunition themselves or they have a tie-up with somebody who makes the ammunition for them. And it's only that grade of ammunition, that specific type, that really works well. The other things don't work well. They might be of the same size, etc., same caliber, that is, same everything, same dimensions, but they don't work exactly in the same way when fired from a particular assault rifle. Okay, KB Dhaga says, keep up the good work. Yeah, good work. Thank you for that. Raghav, we move forward on 2 major tech, jet engine tech and semicon fab in 1 year. Seems strange. Not strange at all. People have finally realized what I have been saying for so long, that there can be no real independence without having your own jet engines and without producing your own chips. Okay, next question. Saurav, we'll come back to some of your questions. Shubodh Deshpande, where can I read about joint all-domain warfare? Can you write about it? Yeah, I'll write about it. No, one thing you should read about is you should go to some of these American defense sites and RAND and other places, and you should read up on JADC2, JADC2. Okay, because that is the big program that the Americans are doing. Joint all-domain command and control. Read up on that. That is what the Americans think will give them the advantage for the next 20 years. But I'll write about, generally all-domain warfare and basically system of systems warfare, etc. I'll write about it. So, okay. Let's go to Vibhangshu Chauhan. Sir, the SS defense is making... Okay, I've answered this question several times. Please circle back to earlier in the program. Right? You'll you'll find me answering this question several times. Mr. Death. I didn't know there is some kind of embargo on us for semiconductor 22nm. You don't know many a thing about how tech is denied to India. Next question. Tapas Bhavsar. What is the status of P-75I? If we can make nuclear subs, why are we struggling to build SSK? Also, sir, can you give a brief about ground situation in Ukraine? Maybe make a video on it. Okay, we'll make a video on this. But I can tell you one thing, that the Russian military has disappointed itself. Ukrainians have fought very hard. But the propaganda is also relentless on all sides. Okay, what is the status of P75I? Status of P75I is, you know what is going on. We're soon going to be left with just maybe one vendor. I think we are going to go with something that is a little off the track now, beaten track. Okay, the beaten path. Tapas Bhavsar asks, what is the state? No, I answered this question, sorry. Okay, viewer asks, viewer I. Okay. Do we need a marine force to capture park coastal areas and ports in war? Well, we have trained some army units for marine landing operations. Basically, this is one of the reasons why we want those LHDs anyway, right? What we are calling an LPD program, like the Mistral class. So yeah, that's definitely on the annual, because that presents a further challenge to the Pakistanis. One thing India should definitely focus on is keep improving missile technology. I agree with you. And do we have better missile tech than China? We're not behind them. We're not behind them. This is one area where we are comparable. Okay, Karthik. Another question for Karthik. How does the new Astra missile compare with PL-15? Such missiles compares very well actually with PL-15. In fact, I would say it's better. Okay, now let me answer questions from the beginning. Monojit Patari asks, any update on the underwater testing of DRDO AIP? Well, they'll have to get a platform first. Seems the system is yet to win the confidence of the Navy. It'll win the confidence of the Navy in toto when you actually test it in realistic conditions, on an undersea platform. Sandeep Bhattacharya asks, is there any chance the government may reduce the number of fighters, say MRFA 72 or less? I don't see that happening. I think, the IAF has made a certain projection. Katoa Khan, Saras Mark 2, when will that roll out? Maybe by the end of this year or next year. Maybe next year. Okay, AB asks, how come only one AMCA design will be finalized for F-35? Both Boeing and Lockheed made one each for the competition, because we don't have that kind of a setup here. Boeing and Lockheed have one ADA each to themselves. Okay, they have Phantom Works, they have Scum Works, etc. And so they can afford. They can. In America, you don't need to go to NASA to design something. You don't need to go to DARPA to design an AMCA thing. You go to industry directly. We just don't have that. We can have such a runoff in actually producing the aircraft, but even that might not be viable given the numbers. You'll probably see the lead integrator tier 1, tier 2 model only. Okay, let me circle back to the beginning for various questions. Rupa's questions have been answered. Rupa, Embraer 3C390 on the cards. Joint development, co-production. Well, I'm sure there'll be some discussions. Why not replace entire MTA with C295 for fleet similarity? Because C295 cannot fill all roles, but the number of C295s that will see Indian service will be quite high. And I don't think it will be limited to 57. Okay, let's go through these. Okay. Too many questions about the Sikh contract. People are obsessed with it. This is what happens when you just keep putting out photos, of our troops with the Sikh in this sector and that sector. I'm sorry to say, but too many of you guys are just like kids. You get too attached to something. Don't get so attached. After all, the one thing that Hinduism teaches people, and of course, I'm sure not all of you adhere to this particular faith, but the one thing that Dharma teaches people is detachment. So cultivate detachment. Now you'll obviously accuse me of being attached to indigenization. See? Anyway, next question. Let me see if I can get some questions here. Where are those questions? Right there. Okay, there are too many questions about Triple S. Okay, there's one by Orno Mitra. Read a paper a few years back that Bach is working on a lead bismuth reactor. Bismuth reactor, is it still being worked upon, or was it closed as an academic exercise, or is it a back project? Well, you would, if you read it in a paper, then it wasn't a black project, obviously. Yeah, well, they must have done some preliminary investigations. So that is there. Then, okay, Alex Delage asks, would you be in favor of reviving Illusion 276 RTA program with a Western partner? Saab Airbus. Global adoption without the stamp from a proven Western OEM would be a struggle. Certification will be an issue. All those things are there. See what the government zeroes in on. Okay. Shayan Roy is asking your assessment of new RD33 MK, basically RD33 engine. You mean RD33 Series 3 or RD33 MK versus most modern F404? F404 is ahead. F404 is ahead. It's superior. Will its performance? American engines in general are superior to what others have, as a rule of thumb. Russia can't match up to America in engine technology. Okay. Anime Cat, do you think after this war India will try to develop another tank of our own? Yeah, I think it will. NGMBT will happen. Okay. The answer. Shivam Dubey. Sir, China has 300 petaflop supercomputer. What is India's current status? India is working on. First, you will see a 20 petaflop computer with our peak of 20 petaflop. And then you must have seen in the joint statement between India and France that Atos is working with CDAC on exascale computing. So I think we'll jump to that. We'll jump to exascale computing. I don't think we are going to be behind in this area for much longer. I mean, in the next few years, you'll see a whole major change in this. You'll see a major change in India's supercomputing capacity and capability. Okay. Path. Why no more tests of Agni-P and Pralay? Backdoor deal with China or something other issue? No, not like that. There's a testing schedule and a testing season, and I think they will be tested when they are to be tested. Status of Agni-P will head into production. No tests happen for a long time. Not that many tests will be required also, given what the Agni-P is probably. Okay. Gaurav Rawat, I want taken on. Abhishek Joshi's question has been answered. Rishabh Kumar, do you believe Indian private companies? Swaroop, Aman Chauhan's, Kabra Khan. Okay, answered these. Partfadas, please speak on ISMC fab unit in Karnataka. Let them put out more details. There's no point speculating about it. Okay. Next question. Prashant Singh Sisodia asks, some articles are coming out criticizing the hype of HGV. Is HGV tech overhyped? You know, HGV has issues. Not easy to basically have control surfaces or reaction engines built into an HGV and maintain maneuverability all the way up to the target, apparently at Mach 10 plus. There are issues. I need to write more, do a detailed analysis of this. Okay. We have another questions. Vedang, China's Deep Blue recently completed a 1 kilometer elevation test of a SpaceX-like reusable launch vehicle. Should Indian startups ISRO also pursue such a solution? ISRO is pursuing such a solution. The same rocket, the same liquid engine, liquid fuel rocket that you will see used, which is just called test vehicle by ISRO, which will be used to test the crew escape vehicle for the Gaganyaan project. That same thing will be turned into a vertical takeoff, vertical landing system. So ISRO is already working on this. Okay. Okay, here's a question. Are you saying, sir, what is the FUFA project? Let it come out when it does. There's too much speculation on YouTube channels and other places. Foxwin asks, are the Chinese getting nervous after what they observed at Ukraine? I think they are. I think they have understood that, actually projecting military power is very different, or actually managing a campaign is very different from parading fancy systems. So they've understood that. They know what it is going to be. In fact, now they are a little more worried. I'll give you an example. Satellite photos have shown, commercially available satellite photos accessed by DDR. They have shown that the Chinese are putting in place berms, large berms in the Chiangchenmo sector and along the Chipchap River. And those berms are obviously not offensive positions. They are defensive positions where they are going to emplace tanks and other things. So despite, I have also written about it, maybe they are not thinking that armored thrust in North Sikkim or Depsang or something is such a great idea. Maybe they are looking to fight a defensive battle also now. Okay, next question. Mohajit Pathari. Any update on the underwater testing of DRDO AIP? No updates as of now. Okay. These have been answered. Abhishek Joshi asks, are there huge oil reserves near the Andaman and Nicobar Islands? If yes, then why not? Why is it not being extracted when consumers are feeling the pinch? No, can it be extracted cheaply? And what will be the environmental cost of trying to do that? Will you also end up destabilizing the continental shelf? These are various questions. It's not so simple. And in any case, it is best to use our own resources, which we can find more easily in less sensitive areas. But yes, if it comes to it, maybe someday this will be tapped. If the price of oil goes beyond a certain point. Again, econ salon issue. Aditya Prakash, can we use mini subs of some sort to launch an amphibious assault via Pangong Tso on the Chinese side and reach Konang? No. Nothing of that sort is possible. Pangong Tso is a frozen hell. Okay. Even in summer, it's not possible. Nothing. Forget about mini subs. You can't even use those swimmer delivery vehicles properly, Mr. Death, do you see any war in this decade against India? Not if India chooses to start a war. I don't think our enemies are now that confident. They aren't actually. Things have changed. It's a question of how confident we are now. And we need to prepare properly. Because as I can tell you one thing, okay, our enemies should not think that, they can create a provocation here and create a provocation there and there will be no cost to pay. Let us be clear about this. You do not mess with our country. Next question. Do you see any war in this? I have answered this. Are you saying, sir, please write an article on Operation Soul Leopard? Maybe I'll write about it in a book sometime, rather than write it in an article. Okay. Desi fact. Sir, our semi-cryogenic engine is comparable with SpaceX engines? Broadly, yes. Broadly. Katora Khan, explain about Gladfire SSM surface to surface missiles. I've answered this question before. Fusion Fame, when will DRDO dare to even think to make strategic bombers? DRDO can't dare to do anything, okay? It's the government which has to sanction something like this. Understand how our system works. Even for something like a over-the-horizon radar, because it is going to cost something like 2,000 crores to do, for basically radar system that will be the main battery radar for something like for an S500 equivalent, you will have to get Cabinet Committee of Security approval, and before that you have to get Ministry of Finance concurrence. Okay, DRDO's annual budget, its entire annual budget will go into making a strategic bomber, both the revenue and capital if put together. Then, okay. So let's not talk about it. What you need is sanctions. You need funds sanctioned. Okay. Next question is, okay, will Russia actually give the T-14 tech? Who cares? We should not now look at Russia or anyone else for FRCV, FICV, etc. We must depend on our own design. And L&T is now capable to make Koelitsia type artillery systems. Yeah, but what it is making is arguably better than Koelitsia. I think the K9 is better than the Koelitsia. Okay, Ankit Kumar. So Indian Army formations are heavily dependent upon infantry. Yeah, obviously, 382 battalions. Indian Army has 382 infantry battalions. We have some 2,500 BMP-2s, yes, and a number of other BMP-2 derivatives also. So, in my view, the number might be over 3,000. For the world's largest standing army, China has 14,000. No, it doesn't have 14,000 BMP-2 equivalents. It doesn't have 40,000 ICVs. Pakistan does not. Oh, these are all incorrect numbers. They seem to be Wikipedia numbers too. Nothing of this sort. And APC is not equal to an ICV, by the way. In fact, we have one of the largest ICV pools in the world. I know there are retired veterans who've talked about increasing our mechanized regiment strength, and I think it will be done. Next question. Saptoshi DG. Can we see an electronic attack version of C-295? Any other aircraft similar to the Compass Call? Yes, you might be. You will probably see something like this. Roger Miller. What's the hold up on big proper orders to systems like LCH, ATAGs, etc.? That's exactly why we have indigenization appreciation. To answer precisely this question, does the Arjun, which performed quite well in trials, have any future in the army? Well, you're going to see 118 more of the Arjun Mark II, Arjun Mark 1A being inducted into the army. You'll see that inducted. So as the LCH ATAGs, well, trials and trials and trials. Well, now they'll be ordered. LCH will be ordered soon. The major order, 15 unit order has come through. You'll see a bigger order come through as well. MG, will Navy order on the aircraft carrier? They will have to keep to ensure that the capabilities that have been built up at Cochin Shipyard Limited do not wither away. But I don't think it will be a super carrier or anything, because we can't afford that. Roger Miller also, would it make the most sense to go for a joint Air Force Navy deal for local production of 100+ Rafales? Yeah, essentially it would. I mean, clubbing MRBCF and MRFA makes sense, but it depends. It depends on the requirements of each service. Let us be clear about that. Okay, we have some more questions here. Fine. There are lots of questions, but I'm running out of time. Okay, Saurav Jha, any update on PFBR? Nothing. It's scheduled for first criticality by October 2022. That's what the government says. There's nothing, there's been no other reporting on it. And there's nothing to provide as an update. There's nothing by way of an update, that is. Okay, I've answered these questions about Astra Mark 1 earlier in the program. I've answered the C-295 question. JP, sir, love your videos. Thank you. I'm glad that you do. Do support us though. And Total Overdose, and spread the word. Please get others to subscribe to our channel. It's a crying shame that we put out this kind of content and we haven't yet hit 10,000 subscribers. Whereas all kinds of shady YouTube channels have hit 100,000 at the least. I mean, there's something very wrong with this world, if you ask me. Total Overdose. Claims are around of T-90M being destroyed. Will this act against India buying additional T-90s? How India's T-90 compared to that of Russia? India's T-90s are actually slightly better than what the Russians are operating. Okay. And we worked on them also. We worked on the turret. We worked on the electro-optical systems. There are many other things. M. Anirudh, is Ukraine war sending a message to fast-track the development of BPS for tanks? So APS is already under development. It's already under development by DRDO or at DRDO. Also, with respect to TB2 performance in Ukraine war, should India procure Archer with 80 GM? I think it is going to happen. I talked about it earlier in the program. It's going to be now at least 100, and I think more, if not more. Okay, fusion fame. When will answer this question? Okay, JP, any news on hydrogen fusion tech being developed in India? I've written an article on India's nuclear fusion. Shared the link also on Twitter. You might want to go through it. Okay. Krishna Jha, FUFA update, no update. Ramesh Shah, any update on active towed array sonar? Yeah, well, maybe you'll hear something. I think Altas is also out of the stovepipe and into the light. Shubhade, please talk about 22 nanometer chip manufacturing embargo in India. Okay, I'll talk about it some other time. But I had heard this from somebody who was very much in the know. Raghav, seeing Russian equipment fail this bad? Well, you're seeing very old Russian equipment also fail this bad. We're seeing a lot of 80 stuff being brought out of storage. Does this say something about Chinese equipment, also Indian equipment and Pak equipment? Well, not fully, no. And you will also have to see what context it is failing in. It's better not to neither overestimate nor underestimate anybody. Rocket man fossil. We saw so many tests of indigenous missiles and bombs, but how fast can we manufacture all these models? How big will be the arsenal? If we bring in the private sector, then we can manufacture them very rapidly. Private sector DPSUs and the old OFB DPSUs together can manufacture a lot very quickly. Okay, the capacity is already in place at the OFB, and it can be brought online in various private sector players very quickly also. Okay, last few questions. I'm seeing hundreds of questions coming in, but okay, let me just go to people who haven't asked any. Total overdose. With scrapping of Su-30 upgrade, will MRFA timelines be advanced? MRFA is being advanced anyway. Okay. Madarasi. When will Arjun scale models in 1/35 scale become available for hobbyists? I don't know. This is a question best asked of CBRD or the Indian Army. Praveen, how do you rate Semicon India? Do you think anything positive will come out of those all MOUs? Well, I think some of those MOUs will get converted to actual assets on the ground. I think it will happen. Okay, Suyans Chaudhary. Will India be able to remove or do you are talking about the embargo, right? Yeah, well, I'm sure some stuff is underway. Any new questions? KS Arora, very right. Number of subscribers are too less. I'm glad you agree. Primarily because you present facts and not rhetorical drama stories, sad but true. That's the nature of the world, isn't it? Utshav Mukherjee. Are the shortcomings found in the Russian autoloader turrets? Are there shortcomings? Well, the initial T-72 autoloaders, there were these some late model T-72s which had autoloaders, okay? And the T-64 also had an autoloader. The problem was they tended to shove in the loader's hand into the breech rather than the round. It has happened more than once, I think, in Russian service. So there's your Russian autoloader anyway. Okay. Saptarshi Chandra asks, Dada, anything new about Tejas Mark II? I'm writing an article on Tejas Mark II. I'll share it when it's done. Okay. Last question. Saptarshi DG. Any chance of Indian Navy inducting MV-22s? No chance. Can be used in multi-role operation? No chance. This is not your Starship Troopers wish list, okay? That you want this or that in service. And in any case, importing platforms from abroad is a strict no-no now. It's just out of the question. Karthik, how is our capability when it comes to ESA? Have we achieved maturity in this space? Yeah, I think we have. Okay, last question. Viper 6. Why don't we follow a naming series for our aircrafts like Z10, Z11, F-16, F-18? This has been discussed. I think you might see the Tejas get an HF designation at some point. Just like the HF-20 for Marut. We are supposed to have that designation system. Okay, we are done for the time being. If any of you want to make any contributions, please may do so in the next few minutes or so. You can always make contributions via UPI, but please do share your address in the along with the any comment that you make, because we need that, right? We need your address for tax purposes. We do everything by the book here at DDR. You can send it to this VPA. This is a UPI VPA ID, right? Okay, we're done for this evening. I'm sure you had better things to do on a Sunday evening, but anyway, you chose to come here, which is very good. Please do bring others as well. Please spread the word. Please get us more subscribers. Please promote indigenization. Stay sharp. Jai Hind.